There are days when we are not sad. We are not in despair. We look out the window, and the sky is not falling. The birds are still flying. The cars are still moving on the street below. Everything appears to be in order. And yet, we are heavy. It is a particular kind of weight. It sits in the center of the chest. It presses gently, but persistently, against the back of the neck. It is a fatigue that has no name in any medical book. You cannot explain this tiredness to a doctor. It does not come from lifting stones. It does not come from running miles. You haven't been digging ditches, and you haven't been carrying physical loads, and yet your bones feel old. This is the exhaustion of the mind. This is the quiet, invisible burn of constant calculation. Consider how we wake up. Before our feet even touch the floor, the machine begins. The low background hum of thought starts to spin. It is a subtle noise, like a refrigerator running in a quiet room. You hardly notice it, but it is always there. Is it enough? Am I safe? Did I make the right choice yesterday? If the wind changes direction tomorrow, will I still be standing? We are not speaking of numbers here. We are not going to talk about bank accounts, or ledgers, or interest rates. We are speaking of a state of being, a physiological state of low-grade alert. It is the feeling of the chest being slightly too tight to take a full breath. It is the sensation that the ground beneath our feet is just a little thinner than we would like, as if we are walking on ice that hasn't cracked yet, but we are listening for the sound. It is tiring, isn't it? To always be the captain, to always be steering through the fog. Even when the sea looks calm, some part of you is standing on the bridge, scanning the horizon, waiting for the rogue wave, waiting for the problem that hasn't happened. That vigilance, it takes something from us. It extracts a tax from our joy. It drains the color from the afternoon sun. It dulls the sweetness of the tea in your cup, because a part of you is never actually here. A part of you is always hostage to a future that hasn't arrived, always solving a problem that does not yet exist. So, let us begin this time together with a simple recognition. Let us put down the shame. If you are tired, it is not because you are weak. It is not because you are failing. It is because you are carrying the weight of what if. And what if is the heaviest weight in the world. We live in an era that worships the machine. We live in the age of optimization. From the time we are very young, we are trained in the art of solving for X. Find the most efficient path. Choose the highest return. Make the smartest move. Never waste a movement. We begin to treat our lives like engineering problems. We look at our days as if they are spreadsheets. We build plans. We analyze outcomes. We try to maximize every single resource. We try to squeeze every drop of value out of every hour and every dollar. On paper, this logic is sound. On paper, the math works. The plan is flawless. The trajectory is upward. But there is a fundamental flaw in this design. We are not made of code. We are not made of silicon and circuits. We are made of blood and memory and fear and hope. We are made of nervous systems that remember the ancient cold. A machine does not feel anxiety when it runs a program. A computer does not worry about the future when it calculates a probability. But we do. You can make the mathematically correct decision and still lose sleep. You can take the risk that the statistics say is perfectly safe, and yet feel your stomach tighten every time you think about it. You can have an optimized life that feels like a prison. So, perhaps a different question is needed. We need to stop asking, what is the most efficient choice? We need to stop asking, what yields the maximum return? We need to start asking, what helps me sleep? There is a profound value in the irrational choice. There is value in decisions that calm the nervous system, even if they don't maximize the wealth. There is value in the choice that does not impress the accountant, but steadies the heart. Maybe paying off that debt mathematically makes no sense because the interest rate is low. But if paying it off makes your shoulders drop 2 inches, then it is the right choice. Maybe taking the lower paying job seems like a step backward, but if it gives you back your evenings, then it is a step forward. Sometimes, the wrong choice on paper is the right choice for the soul. Because the goal of life is not just to arrive at the finish line with the most luggage. The goal is to arrive intact. To arrive without falling apart along the way, we must forgive ourselves for not being optimized. We must forgive ourselves for needing safety more than we need speed. For taking the slower road because the fast road makes us dizzy. We are not machines chasing output. We are living beings, seeking shelter. And there is no shame in seeking shelter. Do you remember? Think back. 5 years, 10 years. Do you remember what enough once looked like to you? If you could go back in time and meet your younger self, that person who had so much less than you have now, and you showed them your life today, what would they say? They would likely look around in amazement. They would say, "We made it. We have everything we ever worried about not having." So, why does it not feel that way? Why do you still wake up with the hunger? Why does the finish line feel just as far away as it did back then? This is the nature of the climb. It is a psychological trick called adaptation. At the bottom of the mountain, we just want a pair of shoes so our feet don't hurt. Once we have shoes, we want a warm coat. Once we have a coat, we want a shelter. Once we have a shelter, we want a larger shelter. And once we have the larger shelter, we want a better view. We must be gentle with ourselves here. This is not greed. Society calls it greed, but it is really just adaptation. It is the human survival mechanism. We normalize the extraordinary. What once felt like a miracle quietly becomes your Tuesday. What once felt like a luxury quietly weaves itself into the fabric of your necessities. The baseline rises. The floor moves up. And so, the concept of enough drifts. It is like a horizon. By definition, you can never reach the horizon. As you take a step toward it, it takes a step away. It preserves its distance. We rarely notice this happening. It is slow. It is like a boat unmoored in very calm water. You are talking, laughing, not paying attention, and then you look up, and the shore is already far away. You are out in the deep water, and the pressure has increased. The anxiety of our lives lies in this gap. The gap between what is, which is often quite good, and what we think should be. That gap is where the exhaustion settles. We are running a race where the finish line is tied to our own waist. We are pushing it forward with every step we take. To realize this is to begin to break the spell. To realize that enough is not a number, it is a decision. It is a place you choose to stop climbing and simply sit down to look at the view. So, practically speaking, how do we rest in a world that pushes us to climb? How do we stop the machine? We create space. We create margin. We build a quiet reserve. In architecture, there is a concept called negative space. It is the empty space between the walls. It is the courtyard in the center of the house. To an untrained eye, it looks like wasted space. Why not build another room there? Why not put more furniture there? But the architect knows the truth. The empty space is what allows the structure to breathe. Without the emptiness, the building is claustrophobic. Without the emptiness, there is no light. Without the void, everything is just clutter and noise. In our modern lives, we are terrified of emptiness. We have been taught to abhor the vacuum. If we have 5 minutes of time, we fill it with a screen. If we have a little extra money, we invest it, spend it, move it. If we have a burst of energy, we use it to work harder. We run at 100% capacity all the time. And an engine running at redline will eventually break. There is another way. The way of the negative space. To consciously hold something back. To leave a field unplanted just to let the soil rest. To let a room remain empty. To leave money sitting idle. Doing nothing but being there. This is not hoarding, and it is not about the numbers in the account. It is about capacity. When you have margin, you walk differently through the world. Have you noticed this? When you have a buffer of time, of energy, of resources, you breathe slower. Your shoulders drop. You are not reactive. When the world shakes, and the world will always shake, you do not fall. You sway because you have room to sway. You have a shock absorber. Think of this margin as an inner fortress, a quiet zone that no one else can see. It is not impressive to the outside world. It doesn't make you look rich or successful on Instagram. It is just present. It is the deep breath you haven't used yet. Just knowing it is there changes the chemistry of your brain. It turns off the alarm. It allows you to be kind because you are not threatened. It allows you to be generous because you are not scarce. This is the art of keeping a space. The art of having a secret reserve that is for nothing else but your own peace. We live in the world of the click, the world of immediacy. Press a button, get a response, send a text, get a reply, order a package, see it on the doorstep tomorrow, plant a seed, expect a forest by Tuesday. We have been conditioned to believe that cause and effect should be instant. But the things that truly sustain a human life, stability, peace, deep security, trust, these things do not move at the speed of the internet. They move at the speed of nature. They grow like trees. And time. Time is a stubborn element. Time cannot be bullied. It cannot be bribed. It cannot be hacked. It only asks for one thing: trust. The gardener understands this better than the engineer. The engineer tries to force the system. The gardener respects the system. The gardener waters the soil. He pulls the weeds. He ensures there is light. And then he waits. He does not dig up the roots every morning to check if they are growing. He knows that if he exposes the roots to the light too soon, he will kill the plant. He knows that the most important work is happening in the dark, underground, where he cannot see it. We need to adopt the mind of the gardener regarding our own security. When we rush growth, we damage it. When we try to sprint toward financial freedom, we usually stumble. We take risks we shouldn't take. We panic when we shouldn't panic. The progress that lasts is quiet. It is boring. It is almost invisible to the naked eye. It is the accumulation of small, sensible days, layer upon layer, sediment turning into stone. It feels like nothing is happening for a long time. You are just chopping wood and carrying water. You are just saving a little, working a little, living a little, until one day, you look up, and you realize the shade you are standing in was built by all those days when nothing seemed to be happening. You realize the tree is now big enough to shelter you. Trust the duration. Stop looking at the clock. Let time carry the heavy weight for you. Time is the strongest lifter in the room, if you stop fighting it. As we look to the future, there are two cliffs we must avoid falling off. Two ways of thinking that can destroy our peace. The first cliff is cynicism. This is the belief that everything is broken, that the system is rigged, the economy will collapse, and the storm is coming to wash us all away. This mindset freezes us. It makes us build bunkers instead of bridges. It makes us bitter before we are even old. The other cliff is naivete. This is the belief that summer will never end, that we are invincible, that luck is a strategy, that it will all work out without us doing the work. This leaves us exposed. It sends us out into the winter without a coat. The path of the wise is the ridge between these two cliffs. It is the ability to hold two opposing truths in your mind at the same time. Truth 1, tomorrow can be better than today. Truth 2, winter is possible. This is not a contradiction. This is not fear. This is awareness. We can be optimistic, but not blind. We can have hope, but not delusion. We hope for the sun. We plan for the harvest. We enjoy the warmth. And we fix the roof. We fix the roof when the sun is shining. Not because we are afraid of the rain, but because we respect the rain. We know that seasons change. To acknowledge difficulty is not to invite it, it is to disarm it. When you are prepared, you do not have to be afraid. When you have your coat, you do not have to fear the cold. You can look at the future with eyes wide open, alert but calm, ready for the storm but hoping for the clear sky. This balance is where true confidence comes from. The pendulum of our lives swings wildly. We see people living at the extremes, and we think we must choose one. On one side, we see the sprinters. Too fast, burning hot. They are consuming life, chasing every opportunity, sleeping 4 hours a night. They have much, but they vibrate with a frequency that makes you nervous just to be near them. They are waiting to crash. On the other side, we see the paralyzed, too slow, stagnant, so afraid of losing that they never play, so afraid of spending that they never enjoy. They are safe, yes, but like water in a jar that never moves, they eventually become stale. Neither of these is a home for the human spirit. Too fast, and we burn out. Too slow, and we rot. A sustainable life lives in the middle way. It is not exciting to talk about at dinner parties. It is unremarkable. It is uncelebrated. It is stable. It means having a gentle grip on the wheel of your life. Not gripping it so tight your knuckles turn white, but not taking your hands off it either. Guiding, not forcing. Correcting the course gently, not swerving. If you are feeling exhausted right now, ask yourself, am I at an extreme? Am I sprinting? Or am I frozen? Return to the center. The center is where the balance is. The center is where the breath is. The center is where you can walk for 40 years and not collapse. Finally, let us redefine what it is we are trying to build. The world tells us to seek more digits, more square footage, more shine, more reputation. But there is a quieter, deeper form of wealth. It is called agency. Agency is not about power over others. It is about power over yourself. It is the ability to wait. It is the ability to sit still in a room and not feel like you are missing out. It is the ability to refuse, to say, no, I will not do that because it disrupts my peace. No, I will not buy that because I do not need it. No, I will not rush. Imagine that feeling. The freedom to rest without guilt. The freedom to own your calendar. This wealth is not the freedom to buy everything in the store. It is the freedom to walk past the store, look at all the shiny things, and feel absolutely no pull. To feel no lack. To feel complete in yourself. To own your time. To own your attention. To own your sleep. This is power. Real power. It does not shout. It does not need to show off. It simply stands there, solid as a rock. It is the power of a person who knows they will be okay, no matter what the news says tomorrow. So, where do we go from here? How do we end this? We end by realizing there is no end, there is no finish line, there is no magical date where a buzzer sounds and a voice says, "Congratulations, you are now perfectly safe and you will never worry again." That day is not coming, and that is okay. Life is fluid, life moves, and so do we. Some years will give to you. The harvest will be plentiful. Some years will take from you. The winter will be long. This is the rhythm of the earth, and we are part of the earth. We do not need to become masters of the universe. We do not need to be perfect machines. We only need to be a little less panicked, a little less fragile. If you are tired today, please, rest. The problems will wait. The emails will wait. The numbers will wait. But if you rest, you will be different tomorrow. You will be clearer. You will be stronger. Let go of the need to be a machine. Forgive yourself for the fatigue. Create a little space. Trust the slow, quiet work of time. And just keep walking, not running. Home.